What's up, Sports Wars? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking more about Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and the Matt Cassel myth, the Matt Cassel lie that continues to get spread out there by people that don't know how to do any research whatsoever. They just hear something said, they repeat that something without having any context to that something, and they're just willing to eat up whatever the mainstream narrative is. Well, since they can't do the research for themselves, I'll do it for them. I've been aware of this for a long time, and I'm just tired of seeing the same stupid people run their mouths about something that they clearly do not understand. Now, we consistently hear, well, Bill Belichick had Matt Cassel, and he made him win. He got him to 11 games that year. They won 11 games with Matt Cassel. And that's true. 10 games technically, because Matt Cassel is on record for winning 10 games. But yes, they were 11-5 that year in 2008 when Tom Brady got injured in the first game of the year. Now, you're coming off a 18-1 team that essentially should have been 19-0 if Asante Samuel doesn't drop a wide open interception to seal the game. Then we had the David Tyree bubblegum catch. So you're looking at a 19-0 team, but for the record, 18-1. The greatest team we've probably ever seen, to you can't even make the playoffs? Yeah, that's called the difference in the GOAT. Tom Brady makes you arguably the greatest team of all time versus you can't even make the playoffs. In the weak AFC East, that's another thing I continue to hear the Brady haters say. Oh, Tom Brady played in the AFC East. Of course he did it. Well, when he wasn't there, they couldn't even make the playoffs with this same team except for one position. They had Randy Moss on the 2008 team. Randy Moss, in my opinion, the greatest, well, I'd say he's the most talented wide receiver to ever step on the field. He didn't have the discipline of a Jerry Rice, but in terms of just ability, Randy Moss, when Randy Moss wanted to be Randy Moss, no one was stopping Randy Moss. He was unstoppable when he was on point. The problem is a lot of times sometimes he wanted to play, sometimes he didn't. But you had Randy Moss on this 2008 team. Now, I continue to hear people say, well, Matt Cassel didn't do anything after Belichick. Again, Google is your friend. I guess Sports Wars is going to be your friend, because it's really pretty easy to do the research to find out that Matt Cassel actually did pretty decent for himself after he left New England. In fact, he did better after he left New England, after he left Belichick. Did you know that, people that are just willing to repeat whatever is said? Well, I will do the research for you. So let's check it out. We're over here on Pro Football Reference. There's Matt Cassel. Look at there. 2008 under New England. Solid numbers. 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and 89.4 quarterback rating. Not bad, okay? I agree, not bad. Well, 2 years later in Kansas City. Wait a minute. What is that? Is that an asterisk by his name? Sorry, I had to edit that because we have ads all over this terrible website. But is that an asterisk by his name? That's an asterisk. What does that asterisk indicate? Selected to the Pro Bowl. Selected to the Pro Bowl. Huh. Absolutely interesting. How in the world did Matt Cassel make a Pro Bowl after he left New England, under Bill Belichick with Randy Moss as his receiver on an 18-1 team? How did he make a Pro Bowl if Belichick was the only reason he was successful? Maybe, just maybe, a lot of people don't do any research whatsoever. Now, if you look further into the numbers, you have 27 touchdowns. You have 7 interceptions. Now, he had more yards in New England. He had 500 less yards in Kansas City, but he had a better TD to interception ratio. He had, where was it at? His quarterback rating was a 93 versus an 89 in New England, meaning he had a better quarterback rating. And, I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, if you go over here to NFL.com, and let's look at 2008. Okay, right there. There's the numbers. He had 37 plays of 20-plus yards. In Kansas City, 2 years later, without Randy Moss, 40 plays of 20-plus yards or more. So the point here, the entire point here is you can say that Cassel never did anything. But all you're telling me is that you're stupid and you don't do any research and you're willing to take whatever is fed to you. If you do the slightest bit of research, you would understand that Matt Cassel actually had some decent success after he left New England. In fact, he was more successful after he left New England, and he was not playing for as good of a team. So your entire myth that Belichick had Matt Cassel and he did this, in reality, Matt Cassel did better after he left New England. Now, am I saying Bill Belichick is not a great coach? No, I've never said that, and I never will say that. Belichick is a great coach. But has anyone ever said Phil Jackson made Michael Jordan? No, that would be stupid. That would be very stupid to say. Phil Jackson maximized the talent that he had, and that is what Bill Belichick did with Tom Brady. But Tom Brady was the piece to the puzzle. Without Tom Brady, nothing else works. He's the engine, he's the heart and soul. So this nonsensical argument about Matt Cassel, I have destroyed that. Matt Cassel went on to make a Pro Bowl and the playoffs after he left New England. Shut up with that argument. It's a weak and tired argument, and if you did any research whatsoever, you would understand that. It'll be interesting to see how this entire season plays out. I am watching it very closely. I think New England will get things turned around. I don't think New England is a 4-12 team every year. I don't believe that at all. I believe that New England's got a lot of work to do, clearly. This is not a Super Bowl team if Tom Brady was on it this year. They would barely be a playoff team, but that is the difference in Tom Brady versus everyone else. Tom Brady can take a bad team and get them to the playoffs. Tom Brady can take a team that barely makes the playoffs and elevate them to the greatest team of all time. That is the difference in the GOAT versus everyone else. So if he was on this New England team this year, you would not be looking at a Super Bowl contender. They may still make it because Brady has carried bad teams to the Super Bowl before. But in reality, you're looking at a team that's probably going to make the playoffs, maybe a wild card, and probably get bounced in the first round. That's essentially what you're looking at this year if Brady was in New England. So they're not a Super Bowl favorite, but they're certainly not what they are right now. Belichick will get things turned around. I'm sure he'll make them, he will make them where they can compete probably by next year. Hopefully they'll get a good draft pick. I like Belichick. I have nothing against Belichick. I have something against stupid people running their mouths about things they don't know anything about. So I'm here to help them do the slightest bit of research to prove to them that they don't know what they're talking about. Brady is the reason that New England has had the success they had. There's no doubt about that. And anybody who's been paying attention would be able to see that. He's the difference. He's the difference in making you the best team of all time versus a team that can't make the playoffs. He's the difference in seeing a team that's going to maybe win 4 or 5 games this year versus making that team, elevating them to get them to the playoffs to lose early on in the first round. That's the Brady difference. You guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later.